So I spent most of yesterday um, doing things that were more productive feeling, which is something I did not exercise very much, almost at all. Like for the last 2 days, I have not felt good physically, and so it's been difficult for me to exercise. So I feel like I've not been doing well on that. But mentally, I've been trying to focus on some of the things that I used to do that I would really like to get back into. I used to write down, a couple of goals for a day and then something extra where I was pushing myself to do something more than just something that I might already have semi a habit of doing. So, for instance, I wouldn't put down like do dishes. I would do dishes already anyway. I have a habit of doing the dishes. But if it's something that I don't normally do every day, I would put it down as like, a little goal to do. And then something where I'm doing something extra that I wouldn't normally do in the day, but that probably really needs to be done and I've maybe been putting it off or, procrastinating about it or something like that. So you do that. And if you do that, then you get to reward yourself with something. And, that way you give yourself a pat on the back or a treat for following through. Um, my, you know, hope is that that just goes back to being my normal routine. I used to do that a lot more, and I've never stopped just like being like, okay, here's my list of things that needs to get done in a day. But I somewhere along the way stopped rewarding myself for doing them and like reinforcing that it's a positive thing. And I stopped pushing myself to do anything extra is the really big thing. And I have felt like my capacity overall for like energy and patience and my threshold for how much I even can get done in a day has gone down significantly as I've tossed that behavior aside. So I'm trying to get back into that behavior because I had a lot more energy and I had a lot more ability to accomplish things and move forward with myself when I was doing stuff like that. So I'm doing that. Done it for a couple days now. I want to get into, you know, doing things that build me back up on things. And building me back up isn't really complimenting me. Like that doesn't really do a lot for me. I've said it before, and it's genuinely the truth. I'm very progression minded, and if I see progress, I see like benefit. It makes me feel good. So trying to do that. I also can't really find a lot to hope about my immediate future. Like I just struggle with that a lot. So I'm like, screw it. I'll think about like 10, 15 years down the road what I wish life would look like then. And I would like to be a man, obviously, physically to match, the man that even last night I was dreaming about being a guy and I was rescuing some girl in some sort of tunnels where there was these electric robot things that could catch us and stuff. And at one point I had to blow one up and the tunnel fell in and I had to drag this girl through, trying to get her back to her loved ones and everything, carrying her on my back and everything else while she was unconscious. But I was still a dude because that's what I dream. I know I have weird dreams, but anyway, we were like some rebel resistance or something. I don't know. It was just more sci-fi. Usually I dream more fantasy, but I dreamt more sci-fi last night. Anyway, the point is, obviously 15 years from now, I would like to be living life fully as a male. That would be great. But there's more. I dare to dream that wherever we settle down, even if we never can afford to get out of this country, that at least it's a peaceful, contented little place or something. And quite frankly, um, you know, our girlfriend's probably going to be pretty settled in her career. hopefully I will have found like a remote part-time job, and we would like to have a little baby farm. Like nothing spectacular, just a cute little house with our pretty garden and a few acres to ourselves where we have like bunny rabbits and, you know, maybe 6 bunnies, 6 chickens, 6 sheep, and 2 miniature cows and a miniature donkey, and like 2 cats and a dog. That's it. Like nothing major, but you know, it would be really good for my spouse petting animals and helping feed animals and helping, you know, humanize them and things like that. That would be very helpful for her. It's always good for her when she's around animals. We all love animals. We all like, you know, the idea of breeding like, you know, pets and things and having our own vegetables and our own, you know, stuff we grow, and, you know, the sheep and the bunnies and the cows, you know, they'll go potty and then the chickens will scratch it and then that will make manure that we can use on the garden. We don't care about raising like meat animals. I'm a vegetarian, and then the girls neither want to eat a ton of meat. Plus, we want to like name the animals and have them be part of the family. So we're more interested in having them be more like sustaining the earth. With, I mean, what better way to have like really great pasture and really great gardens than to have livestock? Seriously, they produce your all of your fertilizer for you, if you do it right. And honestly, we could have, you know, maybe a little milk off of them or something to make fancy like butter or ice cream every week or something with the cream, separating it out, and then use the skim milk to do whatever. But the point is we wouldn't have a ton. You know, we don't really want to have like excess. We just want to have something nice, and maybe once a month we'd get like a farm stand at a farmer's market or something. But in actuality, it's more about our family. It's not really about like it's never ever going to be intended to get rich off of or anything. It's just that contentedness. You got your eggs coming in, you got your fertilizer coming in, you got that little tiny bit of like milk and cream, and then you get to sell babies every year to be pets for other people or farm animals for other people, and that's it. That's all we want to do. And you know, at first I just want to start with easier breeds, hence the miniature cows, you know, hence I'd like to start with dwarf rabbits. The girls really like lops, but I'm like, we need to start with something small and easy to handle first. Because bunnies, I have worked with bunnies before, several times, and they can scratch you up. Their hind legs are very powerful. And we want to get used to bunnies, used to humanizing them, used to getting them nice and comfortable with being around humans, because we want them to be pets. We don't want them to be meat rabbits, if we can help it. You know, you can't tell someone what they're going to do with the rabbit once they buy it, but you know, that's the goal, is just cute little bunnies. We don't really have an interest in like taking stuff to the butcher and stuff, and maybe we will once in a great while for the girls to eat, and stuff, and that's okay. I mean, that's the circle of life. Um, Someday we'll die and we'll go in the dirt ourselves. And I don't mean in a casket. I mean, I want to be compost when I die. I want to feed a tree. We want to have some trees. Have a couple of maybe apple or peach trees, or, you know, have some blueberry bushes or raspberry bushes or blackberry bushes. Just stuff like that. Like nothing extreme, nothing super crazy, nothing that requires you to be out there 24/7. We want a small enough farm that it, you know, you can spend a few hours working on it and stuff, and then it'll be okay. You don't have to be out there 24/7, except, you know, a couple of times a year, like say during the harvest in the fall or during when babies are pouring out in the spring. Like you don't have to be there constantly all the freaking time. Like, we don't want a big farm. we we don't want to be overwhelmed with how much work there is to do. We want it to be giving back to the earth, giving back, making just that little area like alive and thriving. And sometimes things get sick and that's sad, and sometimes things don't turn out the way you thought they would and that's sad, but for the most part that's what we would like. And it's nice thinking about that. It's nice thinking about, being a guy just sawing some wood and putting together a hutch, tractor, and being like, here it is for the bunnies and they can eat the grass, and working with your hands and watching everything grow. Like very satisfying feeling. So instead of trying to think about, next year or the next couple years, because honestly, a lot of stuff feels impossible with that. That's what I've mostly been focusing on the last couple of days, to try to, build up your spirits and feel like life could go there, maybe. Like someday we could actually be settled down and put down roots. I have moved a lot in my life, and I've said it before, I've never been in a school more than 2 years. Any school I ever went to, and they were all public schools, like I've traveled a lot through North America, like seen almost all of Canada and the United States of America, and I just like traveling. I like seeing the world and seeing different environments and stuff. I would love to also put down roots and have like that settledness. And I think the girls genuinely would like that as well. And we would all like to just live that way and live where, yeah, part of the day we could be inside on computers or hanging out with each other, or we could go watch a movie, but after we watch a movie we could go out and check on our animals and pet them and give them cuddles, before you go to bed for the night. Maybe just sit and chillax in a spring or something, and then go take a shower and cuddle down for bed, like contented. And every day there's some work, but the work is like the kind of work you feel really good about, the kind of work that sustains other living things, and some of the food on your table is from that work, and you feel like you're breathing in that clean air, and you're giving a good life to some animals, because so many creatures get mistreated in the world, and humans do so much damage to the earth to finally give back to it. I'd like to set up like some sort of solar panels on the roof and take less, resources from the planet and grow some resources on the planet. Like when I was growing up, I was taught you were meant to be a good steward of whatever you have and whatever land you have, and that's how I feel. I feel like, I'm not meant to dominate the world. I'm meant to be a good steward of it. That's how I feel. So I think about things like that. Sometimes when you're miserable where you are at, you think about where you wish you were instead. Like, some people wish they could buy an island. Some people wish they could move out to the Swiss Alps or something, go to some whatever. For me, functionality wise, I really wish we were in another country. But even besides that, no matter what country, no matter where, I would like to settle down and have a little miniature farm and stuff, and just be a man with his family working on my little farm with my little bottle fed lambs and my little bunnies being born, and toss scraps out to the chickens and they scratch out the manure, and milk your little cows, have a donkey who kicks any predator that comes anywhere nearby. Plus, I love donkeys. I've co-owned a donkey before. I loved it. So, you know, maybe have, I mean, the girls really like border collies and Australian shepherds, so that we'll probably have that for the herding dog. And then a couple of cats to eat out mice because you're going to have feed. So there's going to be mice. So have a couple of barn cats. We like cats anyway. Ta-da! There it is, the whole farm. Besides the vegetables and stuff. And I know how to make a greenhouse. I know how to build. I mean, you can't have a dad who is a bricklayer without learning at least something about building houses. But also my birth mother was big on like building like extra rooms on houses and stuff like that. So actually from both sides of my growing up, or however you want to say that, I learned some stuff about building things, and I've always liked that. And I didn't get to do as much of that as my brothers because I was seen as the girl, which was unfortunate, but I always really liked, measuring out the wood and cutting it down and using a chalk line to make your line and using a level to balance it out and make sure that it's level, and then, nailing it in and watching something come together like that. I won't be able to do electrical or plumbing. The best I can do for plumbing is make a French drain, and the best I can do for electrical is I can screw the outlet plates on the outside of the wires. I know you need a ground wire and I know you need a circuit, but I don't know how to make that happen. So, yeah, I'm pretty useless when it comes to electric. Plumbing, I understand the concept of the pipes and everything. It's just, in my experience, it's way too easy to either not screw it tight enough and it's leaking, or I'll screw it too tight and then it's cracking. And finding the balance of that, I have zero practice of, and don't really want to try to get the practice of. I feel like that would be more hassle than it was worth. So, like, I know how to seal the pipes, I know how to make the shape correct so that it does stuff. It's just putting the pipes together and it actually, like, having good water flow and pressure is not something that I feel capable of. So, but I can make a fence, I can make a coop, I could make a hutch. I know how to do stuff like that. So I know how to make a lean-to for, like, your cows and your sheep to hang out under and get shade and put their hay on and stuff. I know how to make a raised flower bed for, like, gardening and stuff. So I don't know, it makes me happy to think about doing things like that. And maybe some people are like, oh my god, that sounds like so much work. Like, ugh, you'd be dirty all the time, but it's good dirty. Like, it's dirt dirty. I don't know, I've always liked working in the dirt. So the biggest things that would be a problem with that is first of all, there's still the whole money thing, but even besides that, whatever. What it really is there's allergies to consider, and allergies are an issue we would have to figure something out about. And then, because Peaches and our girlfriend both have some outdoor allergies and stuff, so. But I would be doing the majority of the outdoor labor, so at least there's that. I'm more allergic to things inside, and they're more both allergic to things outside, interestingly enough. But besides the allergies, we would have to figure out, like, how to be consistent. Because right now, life is not consistent. And animals depend on a routine. And we would definitely have to learn some sort of consistency if we want to do that. And then actually be somewhere where every single thing you do is not regulated. If every single time you go to freaking do anything, build a shed, for instance, it's freaking regulated by some sort of, city regulation, or, the area has like some sort of homeowners association or anything like that. It's going to be a pain in the freaking butt to do anything. You can't live like that. I mean, trying to get like even just a county regulation, sometimes that's not too overbearing, can be annoying in some counties in this country. So even if we weren't in another country and we picked staying in the United States and stuff of America, it's like you gotta find somewhere where you actually could functionally have your farm and not have to get some sort of paperwork signed off on every single time you made a lean-to. Like, so that's another thing to think about. But that also is in a decent area where everyone there is not going to constantly be like against you just because, your family looks different than theirs. I've never understood that anyway in the first place. My family pretty much never looked like other people's families. So to me, having your family be not the traditional family or whatever, I've never really had very much of the traditional family. So to me, that's just a big crock of malarkey, and people shouldn't treat people bad for that. Your family looks like what your family looks like, and as long as your family is not being abused and there's not like domestic violence going on and sexual abuse or things like that and stuff, and your family's taken care of, it doesn't matter what your family looks like. It matters if everybody's happy and healthy and safe. Like, your family looks like what it looks like. If there's love there, is what matters. Traditions sometimes are so limiting, and I say that as someone who very much finds like a lot of grounding in like ancestry and knowing my traditions and history, world history, not United States of America history. Like, there's a lot to be said for, hey, our family has these little traditions that we look forward to, but there's some stuff that's just way too rigid and strict and limiting, and that doesn't just go for regulations. So we would have to pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But it would be nice. It would be nice that after you work your normal job where you have to like talk to people, or you have to deadlines for getting paperwork in, or whatever it is, and you've got that stressful environment, that you get to go out afterwards and like go run around with some sheep and hold some bunnies and pet some cows, like have like stress relief from having a much more fulfilling kind of work. Just digging with some worms in the dirt with your flowers or your plants, growing your own lettuce, and then being like, I'm going to turn you into a salad, little buddy. Like, I don't know, I talk to plants, I talk to animals. I like that. So maybe someday, more than a decade from now, it's nice to think about, because, the next 5 years are probably going to be really, really hard for me. It's a lot easier to think about once the next 5 years are already passed and done. It helps you remember why all the hardship's worth it, to think about that. What's at the other end? After all the surgery and all the stress and all the hardship and all the working through it and the living frugally so that you can get saved up enough that you can get the thing that you're looking to try to save up for, and having more of my own self put together so that I can actually put together the life that I would like to have. It's nice to think about. I struggle with hope a lot, and I don't know, it's the thing that helps me stay hopeful. Is that maybe, just maybe, that could be possible. Just being a guy working on the land with my animals and with my family. Anyway. That's my happy place.